Hello and welcome to this special show here on Headlines Today. It's 2 years since a young woman in Delhi was gang raped and left to die in the national capital. That incident shocked and outraged the nation, shook up the establishment and forced a much needed debate on women's safety. 2 years later, we're asking the big question, has anything really changed? Are women safer on the streets of Delhi and indeed across this country? 2 years later, we've done a survey that will show you the results of what exactly has changed and remained the same. And we're going to raise the big questions with a special panel. Joining us on this program, Nishtha Gautam. She's a professor at the Delhi University and also Associate Fellow at the Observer Research Foundation. Mihira Sood is a Supreme Court lawyer. She deposed before the Verma Commission or assisted the Verma Commission that was appointed after the Delhi Braveheart rape and murder. Shazia Ilmi is a familiar face. She was till not too long ago with the Aam Aadmi Party. She is now best described as a political activist. Maxwell Pereira is a former Joint Commissioner of Police here in the national capital. And Shailaja Chandra has been formerly Chief Secretary. But please give them a very big hand, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to raise several big questions. Our survey has been done, as I said, in the national capital, where the incident took place on the 16th of December. We asked the question, how many people are aware of the Nirbhaya case or the Delhi Braveheart case? 85% said yes, they are aware. Only 9% said they are not. 6% said can't say. So high level of awareness of what happened 2 years ago. We then asked, how safe is Delhi compared to 2 years ago? More safe, 20%. Less safe, 32%. No difference, 41%. Can't say, 7%. So therefore, how safe is Delhi compared to 2 years ago? Less safe, 32%. No difference, 41%. Which means 73% of Delhiites don't feel safe in this city. 3 in every 4. We're going to widen that and look at the entire country now. But the big question then to all our panelists, has nothing changed? And I'm going to ask this to the audience as well. How many people in this audience, कितने लोगों को लगता है कि दिल्ली ज्यादा सुरक्षित हुई है 2 सालों में? अपने हाथ ऊपर करें. Is there anybody who thinks Delhi has become safer? कोई नहीं समझता? एक भी नहीं? How many people feel कि कम सुरक्षित हुई है? अपने हाथ ऊपर करें. जिनको लगता है no difference अपने हाथ ऊपर करें. जिनको लगता है कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ा है. That is the majority feels that कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ा है. What does that mean? Shailaja Chandra, you kick it off. What does that mean if nothing has changed? What was all that outrage and anger on the streets 2 years ago about?
I think nothing has changed for them because whatever steps have been taken, and I'm not speaking for the police, I've just checked up facts, is something they have not come into contact with, but that is necessary. Number one, every police station now has a woman's desk, a dedicated phone line. Have any of you in the room ever rung up a police station and been received by a woman when you're making a complaint? Has anyone ever made a complaint?
Has any of you made a complaint to the police station? Why did you say nothing has changed? Here is Shailaja Chandra saying every police station now has a woman who is ready to help you if there is a problem.
Because there are as many cases of rape as they were 2 years back. So I have been, thankfully, I have a personal mode of transport, so I don't have to walk on the streets and I don't have to take the public transport. And I don't feel a difference, but I've been reading all these rape cases that have been happening, so I don't think it has changed at all.
So it's about figures, because look at those hard figures. The hard numbers, Mihira Sood, show that in the first 11 months of 2014, there were more rapes compared to the previous year.
But
more instances of sexual assault, more instances of attacks on women. Therefore, the point which is being made is that there is a fear factor that still exists. Shailaja Chandra can say women have, there are women officers now in every police station. People don't know.
See, I think the increased numbers is a little misleading because they are very often a sign of increased reporting. And I think that is one of the things that in fact has changed, that women are speaking out. You see, I mean, in the Uber case that happened 10 days ago, there's no hesitation in the mind of a victim now to call the police, to tell people, you know, so that mindset has changed. I don't think numbers is the issue, but I completely agree that when it comes to your everyday experience of walking on the road, your everyday experience of being leered at, of being groped, of being molested, your everyday experience of how slow trials are, or how unresponsive the police can be, you know, the more boring governance aspect of it, that hasn't changed at all.
You know, let me put that again to the audience. कितने लोग इस audience में जो public transport से जाते हैं, have the men, attitude of men changed at all? क्या आपको लगता है कि पुरुषों का attitude बदला है? कि अभी तक आपको उसी तरह से घूर के देखते हैं? Same, nothing has changed. So that's what it's coming down to.
That's the
So
point,
basically इस audience में हमें थोड़े ज्यादा पुरुषों को लाना चाहिए, क्योंकि जब तक आदमी नहीं बदलेगा कुछ और नहीं बदलेगा, right? You know, that's what it is.
Exactly, and Rajdeep, this is not just a women's issue, it's a society issue. It's a men's issue as much as a women's issue.
And to
No,
add
but
to
is
that,
it a mindset issue?
To
Is
add
it-
to that,
Of course,
Rajdeep, it's not just a legal issue either. All our reforms have been only on the legal front. That's a very top-down approach. It has to be seen as both a legal and a social issue. And on social front, nothing has changed, and there are no policy interventions on
No,
that front either.
but let me ask Nishtha Gautam, since you teach in a college, why haven't the attitudes of men changed? Why haven't the attitudes for all that has happened? Has the focus excessively been, in a sense, on the laws without changing the mindsets?
See, we always take a very knee-jerk sort of an approach when it comes to women's security. We tend to relegate it to the quarters, to the Zanana quarters, that this is a women's issue, let's deal it in a different way. But till the time we take a very comprehensive sort of an approach to deal with this issue, which is actually a national internal security issue, because women are equal citizens. We have equal voting rights. We pay equal taxes. Why is it not an internal security matter? I think that's.
But can I ask, since we are talking on mindsets, has the mindsets of police officers changed? इस audience में कितनों को लगता है कि men जो police officer है, उनके मन में कोई बदलाव आया है महिलाओं की तरफ? नहीं मैडम, नहीं आया. आप बताइए मुझे. आइए, आगे आइए. बताइए.
मैं एक्चुअली पिछले 5 साल से डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस पे काम कर रही हूँ. हाँ. और मैं सोशल वर्कर हूँ. कोई भी अभी हम लोग केसेस लेते हैं जो डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस के, तो पुलिस वाले कहते हैं ये क्यों हुआ, कैसे हुआ, आपकी गलती होगी, आप रात को मत निकला करो. तो ये पुलिस ऑफिसर्स का ये एटीट्यूड है.
पुलिस वाले अभी भी कहते हैं कि रात को मत निकलो.
कहते हैं, अभी भी कहते हैं.
Maxwell Pereira, sorry to put you in the spot. What is going to be done to change the way policemen think? Let's be clear. One of the suggestions after the Nirbhaya case was that there was going to be a training program for police officers. That really sensitizing police officers. That really hasn't happened.
Precaution, precaution is better
Precaution
than
means
cure.
don't go out in the night.
But
It's
that
not
can
that.
be an
No, no, don't
individual,
go out in
that's
the
an
night.
It is
individual
not that.
decision to
Take
take. That
your
can't be a
precaution.
policy imperative.
Yeah, you have your
Yeah, one by one. Yes.
you have your protective aspects. You have your pepper spray, or you have a company going with you.
No, here is the police officer saying carry pepper spray with you.
Why do we carry objects to save us? Why do we need a man to go out?
You
We
need
a
to
company with
do
us.
that till the attitude changes.
Let this girl respond.
Till the attitude overnight.
Okay, 1 minute. One by one.
If I need to go somewhere and if I don't have a company, am I supposed to not go there?
No, police officer saying, why don't you protect yourself with pepper spray?
And if in case I
Also.
don't have a pepper spray,
Protect ourselves.
Sorry?
Why do we need to protect ourselves always? The mentality has to be changed of people in the country.
Basically of the men. Yes, Shazia,
We should not pick on one single item. It's a plethora of things.
No, you're saying
It
be
is one of the things.
You're saying look at preventive. You want to respond, Shazia Ilmi, and then I'll get
want
to
to, because I think lawmakers and law enforcers come from the society, and we have deep-rooted societal biases, prejudices, very feudal and patriarchal in nature. When woman occurs to a man as an object to be looked at, stalked, molested, misbehaved with. So unless and until that changes, nothing will change. So I think it's very important to look at the law and order situation. Yes, that's what they're here for. And also to look at a good transport system, but also working on these biases, the gender dynamic, the male-female relationship, or how men look at women.
Okay,
in the first place. I
yeah,
will change that.
Meera, respond.
I think what Mr. Pereira is talking about, these are individual precautions that one must take, but they cannot become a policy imperative. It cannot be for the state to tell us what to do. And I think related to that is a very worrying trend in this entire discourse of the last 2 years, that freedom and safety have been set up in some kind of false opposition to each other, that in order to be safe, you can't be free. And if you are going to be free, then you can't be safe. And there can be no safety without freedom, and there cannot be any freedom without safety. The two have to reinforce each other. So safety has to be looked at from the perspective of ensuring greater freedom, not less freedom.
Can I therefore ask this audience, how many of you, your parents tell you, आपके parents आपको कहते हैं रात को मत जाइए, अभी भी कहते हैं?
My parents.
They still tell you? Your parents still tell you that?
The trouble is that, for instance, you can't, the problem is still that the worldview is that the onus is on the woman. And I think that's the problem. My parents will still tell me, carry a jacket if you're going out. Is there going to be a guy traveling with you? Blah, blah, blah. But it all comes from the fact that we perpetrate the idea that the onus is on the woman. It's not the man that we need to be worried about. That's why the police will always ask you questions like, आप किसके साथ थे, आपने क्या पहना था, आप इतनी देर को बाहर क्यों थे? तो
if the onus is on the woman, let's be clear, Shailaja Chandra, various proposals were made after the Nirbhaya case. A number of them have not been implemented. Let's be clear. Public transport, for example, in the Uber case as well, the fact is that the antecedents of the driver were not being checked. So obviously it was not seen as a serious enough issue. My worry is whether it's the police or whether it's the government. One thing is to have laws on the paper. The other is to implement them.
I think there is a difference between what police can do, and I'm not taking the side of the police. I'm totally with whatever these young women have been saying. But the fact remains, if you put one policeman behind every one of these women, they're not going to feel any better. What will make them feel better is the power struggle that a man is superior, a woman is inferior, that must stop. And that can't come for just schooling and you're going to tell little children in school. It has to be, in the rural areas, it's a caste bias. The upper castes take it out on the lower castes. In the urban area, it is just a question of you see a woman as fair game.
Ma'am, I'm sorry to interrupt. I am talking about implementation. The law very clearly says, for example, that the antecedents of a taxi driver have to be completely verified. The law says that GPS has to be installed if you are in a public transport. Earlier it was suggested CCTV in every bus. It hasn't been done.
No, but let me tell you that I've taken the trouble to check on facts before coming here.
Yes.
CCTVs in buses has begun. It's not happened in all buses, but it has begun.
In 2 years?
GPS has begun. What has happened in all this implementation, it has been, if a woman suffers a problem, this is what we can do. More CCTVs outside all the schools and colleges where women go. That, I don't think anybody knows CCTVs are there. What has really happened is that they are not aware of all this money and time that is being spent on trying to set up Nirbhaya centers and things like that.
Nirbhaya centers, ma'am, the money has not been spent.
Exactly.
The money, the
fund wasn't
1,000 crores that was given in 2013 and 2014 has still not been spent. But Maxwell Pereira, is the audience wrong therefore to blame the enforcement authorities or blame the administration? Because things apparently are being done and the people are not aware of them.
The sociological part of it has not been addressed by police, by administration.
Yes.
That is the root cause.
This girl wanted to make a point. Yes, ma'am.
GPR, everything is available, everything has begun, but still the rapes are not being stopped yet.
Is there an absence of fear? Is there an absence of fear of the law? Let's be clear.
Just one thing I want to tell you. I
Yes.
have been talking to some police people off the record. What they told me was, and I'm not blaming people, but please listen to, then maybe Maxwell will bear out what I'm saying. 60% of these kinds of cases are perpetrated by young men between the ages of 14 to 22. They go out, they take drugs at the end of an 18-hour day, they take alcohol and they lose their minds and do these things. The police there and then, if they did something, it would change. But nothing happens as rough and ready justice. And we want to be great activists, we want to be great humanists, we want to be great human rights perpetrators. At the same time, you don't want to deal with people the way they should be treated when they misbehave with a woman.
Maxwell Pereira, is there an absence of fear of the law?
I totally agree with the...
No, is there an absence of the fear of the law?
Fear of the law depends. A criminal should fear the law. and the normal individual should respect the law.
No, in several cases, just a minute, in several cases, the fast track courts have not resulted in speedy justice.
Yep.
So therefore, a rapist.
I mean, not that I'm a great believer in fast track. I mean, to my mind, all courts should be fast track. In that, you know.
No,
there is
I can understand
Yeah.
that. But if someone is accused of rape, if a few months later, as was in the Uber case, he's out on the street, out on bail, how do
The
you deal
problem with
it?
the fast track courts, as is the problem with most of the reforms that have taken place in the last 2 years, is they are knee-jerk, cosmetic reactions. They are done for political mileage. They are done to show that we are taking some action. Nobody wants to do the boring work of actual governance.
Okay.
First of all, Rajdeep, it's a little worrying for me to hear Mr. Pereira say that he even he has to tell his daughter to use pepper spray. Now, that just says one thing about our police, that obviously we're not equipped enough. But whether it's CCTV cameras that don't work, or it's the lack of protocols. And even if you ask for rape, what is the system? You have to, their first interface is an FIR. So protocols at the police stations, clearing up the backlog, magisterial inquiry, investigation processes. In the last 2 years, have you heard of a central data system? Do we even know who the sex offenders are? Are any of those records?
I mean,
are there
if
in
we
police
had that,
stations?
if we had
One
that,
minute,
then
let me
even in the
finish. Let me
Uber
finish.
case, we would have known.
Let me finish. Wherever the crime is done, wherever there is sex offense, is it on record? If it's on record, is it digitized? If it's digitized, then it is being shared. So these are very serious issues.
And
Okay.
just to add to that, that's the absolute low-hanging fruit. That's the
And
stuff that
that
really
is
should
something the
not
police-
take much effort.
Okay. Let me get a few more voices. Do you feel that things have really not improved, or are we exaggerating the problem?
No, we are not exaggerating, because the guy in Uber case, he was held, I think, in 11 cases, but
Yes.
no concrete action was taken against him. Had it been, he shouldn't have come to Delhi and got all forged documents and got this license for a elite luxury cab service.
Is it true that many of them are repeat offenders? Is that true? That in many of these cases, there are people who are what you would call a repeat offender? Is that true? And therefore, people feel that they can get away?
And in social crimes, they tend to be, because it is again more a crime of the mindset.
Yes.
The two of you said, how it is a low-hanging fruit, but what do, it is absolutely disgusting that even for forensic tests, our labs are not well equipped. We have only one lab in Delhi, which is so overburdened. When crimes happen, we have nothing. We have nowhere to go to except that one lab.
I want to ask this audience, and many of you can speak out. If you find a man who is, say, sexually harassing you in a bus or in a public transport, in a metro, what will you do? What do you do at the moment? What do you do? Sorry?
We will raise our voice, we'll fight against him.
Have any of you ever raised your voice? Have any of you have gone through that? If there is, yes, tell me. Have you?
Yeah, there was once this guy on a bicycle. He tried to grope me. I just kicked him so hard.
Very good.
You know where.
You deserve a hand for that. Well done. And what happened?
I'm sure that he would not want to do it again.
He won't want to do it again. Is there anyone else who's done that? Anyone else who has? Yes. What have you done when a man has come? Yes.
Well, I was traveling in Kashmir and we were in a line where a man, he tried to push me and he tried to grope me. So because there was a lot of people around, so I got back, I slapped him hard and I pushed him back and then took his shirt and tore him in pieces. So, and everybody else then started, hitting him back. But that was a lesson that
No, I hope the people around you supported you.
Not all, but some women came, and that's the thing. Not all men came, but some women came in to protect and say, hey, how dare you touch her?
But I have a contradictory experience.
No, I'm just wondering whether women have become braver. Have women become stronger?
I want to
Women
just
have
add
always
here.
been brave, because we have been on our, we have taken our own security in our own hands. It's not about being braver or, it's हमेशा से यही करते आए हैं हम तो.
I want to share in essence, we were
Yes.
on sharing
Just a minute,
anecdotes.
yes.
A friend of mine who was traveling in a public bus the other day, it was an elderly gentleman who was trying to grope her, and when she fought him
Always
off,
the elderly.
in fact it was
Right?
some of the people around, including several women, who criticized her for shouting at him and abusing him, saying, do you have no respect for the elderly? So, there is that dimension as well. There is a lot of bias against young people.
It appears that there is a certain mindset. Mindsets won't change overnight. Laws will change, mindsets won't. Where would you start, therefore? Where would you start with this battle? If you had to fight this battle of making a city safer for women, where do you believe the battle should start?
I think with rough and ready justice there and then. That must come.
No, what do you mean by rough and ready justice?
Which is, I'm sorry to say, people will not agree with me. This is not the age, but there was a time I remember on Dadar. You are from Maharashtra, you should know. The Dadar station
In
of
Mumbai.
Mumbai.
Yes.
I was crossing from Central Railway to Western Railway. You don't have to do anything, you're being pushed anyhow.
Yes.
Suddenly, a woman screamed that somebody had touched her. The entire public beat up that man.
But that cannot be the solution.
That's not the
No,
solution?
I think these kind of solutions, they cannot
not
become
solutions.
policy.
They are,
How
it's a
can
mindset.
we are talking about policy changes here.
No, the public of Mumbai,
Yes.
of whatever area, were alert enough.
No, you are asking for vigilante justice
No,
effectively. You're
you
saying
call it-
that,
Yes.
that if
It's
somebody
when it
is
suits-
found, you're saying if somebody is found in a crowd resorting to sexual harassment, beat him up. That's all you're
The
suggesting.
public should
vigilante justice,
support
but as
that
a
woman.
substitute for governance,
The public
that's
should
not
support
acceptable.
that
No, I
woman.
think we are coming back to the issue of governance. You know, the key issue is that of governance. Do you, for example, as a young woman, feel that the roads of Delhi or the roads of any city are not well lit? So after 9 o'clock in the night, if you were walking alone on the roads are not well lit. Do you feel that?
Yeah, of course they're not, and I in fact don't really agree. I think the problem with our government is that we do one or the other. It's a comprehensive sort of a solution that you need to come up with. If you're talking about legal action, you also need to talk about preventive action. You need to talk about sex education in schools. People don't understand what is a woman's body and what is a man's body. You need to make them understand that kids should be taught this from the age of class 5.
How many of you feel that there should be sex education in school?
There is sex education, but how effective is that?
No, it's not there. Not all schools still don't have it.
But also
All
just
schools don't have it.
destigmatize sex. Nobody wants
Sorry?
to talk about sex in this country.
That's
we
right.
need to destigmatize sex.
Okay, that's, you know...
So Rajdeep,
yes.
just when you think it's a women's issue, you realize it's as much a men's issue. And just when you realize it's only a law and order issue, you realize it's a law and order, transport,
Social
HRD,
structure,
education,
infrastructure has to
that
be
kind of issue.
No,
So
we are
that's
coming.
his
We are
issue.
coming back to boring governance. I gave one aspect of street lighting.
Yeah.
Ki we need more public
Yes,
spaces
lighting, yes.
where women can walk without feeling a sense
Safe
of fear.
24-hour transport.
Why is it? Why is it that there are not? You live in Gurgaon today, Mr. Parera. Just look at Gurgaon. The number of dark corners that there are in Gurgaon. Look at Delhi. Look at Mumbai. Look at Bangalore. Any city. The number of dark corners. Why is it, do you think, that even the police or the administration doesn't push for a city to be better lit in the night?
Rajdeep,
Yes.
this watch of mine has got many parts. If all of them don't function in the correct manner, then I won't get the correct time. So we must realize, as many pointed out, there are various agencies, not one or two. There are various agencies who have to do their job.
Sir, I'm asking a simple question. Why can't the streets be better lit?
Yes, street lighting is just one aspect. Transport is the
what about-
major aspect.
Yeah, but all of these have to be
Transport,
addressed.
yes.
No, I agree with you, but why, ma'am, you've been a chief secretary. Why can't the streets of a major city be better lit?
They can and they should, and the dark spots need to be surveyed not once in a month. Every single day there ought to be a report that these dark spots have been taken care
So
of.
you believe
Yes.
that's needed? So
it
that's,
can be done.
That's a boring governance issue.
it
That's
has
why.
to
That's
be
a
done.
boring governance issue. Yes, the girl here. Yes.
So you talk about lighting up the streets, even if the streets are well lit. Is there any guarantee that the women are still safe?
But won't you feel safer? Won't you feel safer on a street where there are lights than some dark street?
I reside in Dwarka and the streets are well lit. Even then, me and my mother, when walk on the streets, are not safe. We are there seeing around that is there any man who is following us? And there have been cases when the roads are well lit, and even there the women have
again,
been
we
molested.
cannot
So
see these as
that doesn't
single
really
fixed
guarantee.
Yes. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am. Let me bring the mic too. Yes. Go ahead. Yes.
What about we are all like talking about things being well lit and all, but what about the very mindset that gives reason to it? Because I have been like approached by men in daylight who say weird things, and some have tried to grope me. So it's not about just the day and night, just a night situation. We're dealing with a cultural issue here, where sex is a stigmatized
I think
thing.
when we relegate this very tangible issue to a cultural, sociological issue, I think we are taking the bite of it. Because there are fixes. Right? There are policies, we have to have policy interventions in place. We cannot deal with women's issue as milch cow issues that every party can reap benefits कि अच्छा महिलाओं का होता रहेगा बलात्कार अगर इस पार्टी को वोट नहीं दिया तो I won't name the party, but that's what
And there I completely
No,
agree
hold on. Yes, go on.
I completely agree with Mr. Pereira that it's a question of a number of departments working together. Nobody is saying it's just about street lighting or it's just about, but there are. When you look at policy reform, you start off with looking at what is the low-hanging fruit. What is the stuff I can do without major legislative willpower? What is the stuff I can do without major social, cultural change? The low-hanging fruit.
No, let me give you an example.
Street lighting
Let me
is
give
a
you
low-hanging fruit.
But let me give you an example. The Prime Minister, in his Independence Day speech, had said, what are your sons doing? Why are you worried about what your daughters do at night? आपके बेटे क्या करते हैं रात को ये देखिए. क्या आपको लगता है कि उसमें कोई फर्क पड़ा है? मैडम आप फिर से अपना हाथ उठ. पुरुषों में कोई फर्क आया है कि नहीं?
पुरुषों में अगर
प्रधानमंत्री ने कहा कि आप अपने बेटों से पूछिए कि क्या आप करते हैं रात को.
हम ये कहते हैं कि अगर जो मंत्रियों के बेटे जो रेप केसेस में अंदर आते हैं तो उनके लिए क्यों उनको दबा दिया जाता और उसके लिए क्यों एक्शन नहीं लिया जाता? पहले हम अपने बच्चों को अपने बेटे से अगर शिक्षा दें कि मतलब ऐसा अपने औरतों को अबला ना समझे और औरतों को बराबर का अगर हिस्सा देंगे तो
लेकिन आप मानती है कि अब अगर आपका बेटा कहे कि मैं 2 बजे रात को आऊंगा तो आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगा. आपकी अगर बेटी कहेगी मैं रात को 2 बजे आऊंगी तो प्रॉब्लम होगा.
नहीं, मेरा तो बेटा भी 11 बजे के बाद अगर घर आता है तो उसको डांट पड़ती है और बेटियां रात को जॉब में हैं तो रात को आती हैं तो मेरे को कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. मुझे बेटे से ज्यादा अपनी बेटी पे गर्व है और बेटा भी मेरा मैं अपने संस्कार दे रही हूँ बेटों को. हर माँ अगर अपने बच्चों को अपने अच्छे संस्कार दे तो कोई भी रेप केसेस होगा ही नहीं.
But tell me, do you believe that sons get away all too easily? That if there is if there's a boy, I don't know whether you have a brother at home, that your brother can stay out till 2 in the morning and nothing is said to him. But the moment you come home after 11, your parents get worried. Do you believe that we haven't trained or conditioned ourselves to realize that men are the problem?
I think this has been going on since centuries and it's like a whole country issue. But
we are 21st century, now we have to stop it.
It's like people talk about roots and everything. So one foot is in the roots and one foot is in the 21st century. Like people need to realize in what direction they want to go. Right. And at my home, there is like an equality situation, so I don't deal with that issue at all.
But in most homes, is there gender equality or not? Let's be clear, Meera. There is no gender equality.
No, but I think even the question of getting more worried about your daughter staying out late than your son is still, given the circumstances, not the root of the problem. But the root of the problem is when you have little kids. A girl is praised for being docile and quiet, and a boy is praised for being rambunctious. Yes. He's like, that boys starts from the time they are toddlers.
Rajdeep, the potential rapists, the potential molesters everywhere. It's in the movies, it's there in attitudes around us. मैं चीज बड़ी हूँ मस्त और girls should not go play out
But let's be clear, a large number of rapes, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, a majority of rapes are domestic rapes.
Exactly.
They are committed in the house by people who are known. So it's not as if
the focus on surveillance and the focus on these drones and all is frankly ridiculous. Because nobody is talking about the 90% of rapes that happen without, they're not going to be caught by drones and they're not going to be caught by CCTV.
Yes.
Manira, but having said that, it's important to look at law and order and fix the public transport system.
Absolutely.
And also change patriarchal attitudes. They're not mutually exclusive.
How would you change the public transport system? Please tell me, how would you change the public transport system?
You have autos with GPS systems that is tracking. Every service, whether it's Meru or Uber, should have a central surveillance system where the cabs are being monitored.
And focus
you have buses where CCTV cameras are being monitored, where panic buttons work. They're just not there in namesake. It can work. Better street lighting, better helpline centers, better apps. It's all there. But not even that. Even otherwise, since Nirbhaya to now, 2,000 crores has been put in the kosh. What about social literacy? What about mass campaigns? What about changing of curriculum in schools and colleges where role reversals happen, where you tell students that we are equals?
Okay, those are all valuable points. Let me take a break at this point. Let me take a break and take in more questions. I'm also, remember, in Delhi there are going to be elections. Is women's safety going to be an election issue? Will the voters and the viewers here vote for candidates who guarantee and are actually able to act on the issue of women's safety. That's what we'll raise after a short break. You're watching this special 2 years after the tragic rape and death of a Delhi girl.